Good evening and welcome to Hudson Valley Week in Review, where we look back at the people, places, and issues making news in Ulster County and the region. I'm Amy Greene. We begin tonight with an initiative in Ulster County designed to improve safety for pedestrians, bicyclists, and drivers. Complete Streets projects, as they're called, range from developing new walking and bike paths to updating sidewalks and traffic signals. Communities participating in the program select members for their transportation advisory councils, who range from those in law enforcement, politicians, even high school students. Kristen Wilson is the Senior Resource Educator for the Healthy Communities program, as well as a member of Saugerty's Transportation Advisory Council for Complete Streets. She gives us an in-depth look at what the program entails.
We have a grant from the New York State Department of Health called Creating Healthy Places. And this grant, which we've had for 4.5 years, now we'll be finishing it. It's a 5-year grant. The purpose of it is to prevent obesity and diabetes in Ulster County. We have some pretty high rates of obesity and diabetes in Ulster County. In our adult obesity rate is over 60%, and for childhood obesity, the rate of students or young people who are either obese or overweight is over 30%. And so we have a number of different projects that are part of this grant program to improve the access to healthy eating and active living or physical activity. And so one of our programs is the Complete Streets program. And with this Complete Streets program, we have been working in the village of Ellenville and the town of Warsing, and also in the town of Saugerties and the village of Saugerties to adopt a new Complete Streets policies. So Complete Streets are streets that accommodate pedestrians, bicyclists, transit users, and people with disabilities, as well as motorists, in a better way and with fewer conflicts and in a safer way. And in both of these municipalities or areas, they have adopted a new Complete Streets policy, and they have established a Complete Streets Advisory Council. In Ellenville and Warsing, it's the Complete Streets Advisory Council. In Saugerties, it's called a Saugerties Transportation Advisory Council, the STAC. So that's, in short, what we've been doing with this program. In Saugerties, they did, the Ulster County Transportation Council, which is part of the planning department, did a study called the SAMA, it's Saugerties Area Mobility Analysis, in 2007, I believe. And so they really have analyzed where some of the mobility issues are, and they have identified possible projects. And so that study has been reviewed and looked at by other people in the town and the village for several years, but projects haven't necessarily gotten off the ground. Some projects have, but not many of them. So now what the council will be doing is prioritizing which of those projects they're really going to move forward with and put some new energy and effort into making happen. And then in Ellenville, we recently just did a strategic plan, a 3-year strategic plan for both the town of Warsing and in Ellenville, for the council to, and with that planning process, the members of the council identified areas where walking and bicycling is not so great and where they like to do projects in the future. So that strategic plan is really identifying the projects that we would want to do in the future. Well, in Saugerties, there is a lot of discussion about Main and Partition Street, which is sort of the main drag in Saugerties, and there's a lot of discussion about parking and issues with parking. They have a lot of new tourists that are coming to Saugerties and have parking issues, especially in the summertime. when the HITS festival is going on. And along with those parking issues come conflicts between pedestrians and people who are in their cars looking for parking. So those are some of the things we're going to be looking at. Also crossings, and the chief of police in Saugerties has been very concerned about jaywalking. There was recently a death in Saugerties a couple of years ago, or maybe it was a year ago now, and so they're really looking at how to improve the crossings and also educate drivers and pedestrians about those kinds of conflicts and about trying to behave in a better way so that we don't have those kinds of accidents. In Ellenville, there's been a lot of discussion about access to the grocery store. 209, the grocery store is on Route 209, and there aren't great sidewalks to and from the grocery store and to different senior centers or senior living place in Ellenville. So that's been something that they've been talking about quite a bit. They also have talked about bicycle access. There are a number of people in Ellenville who are really interested in increasing the bicycle infrastructure, especially since Ellenville recently did not win the casino, which was something that they were sort of counting on to improve the economy in Ellenville. So now they're sort of taking a look at rail trails and bicycle infrastructure and how that could attract bicyclists to the area. Ellenville is a beautiful place, beautiful mountains, and it really could be improved by having more tourism in the area. For pedestrian safety, a lot of times it has to do with crossings. That's where most accidents occur for pedestrians, is when they're trying to cross a road, either on a crosswalk or not on a crosswalk. And so there are a number of solutions, in particular PedHead, which is a pedestrian crossing signal, where the little blinking white guy that tells you when to cross or not to cross. Installing those, it can be expensive, but can also improve safety. And then in both of the towns and villages where I'm working, one of the issues for pedestrians is the quality of the sidewalks. We have bluestone sidewalks in many parts of Ulster County. Bluestone is a stone that was mined from Ulster County. Actually, many of the sidewalks in New York City are made of bluestone. It's a great material for building sidewalks, but it's different from concrete in that it's in sections. So there's maybe a three foot section of bluestone, and then you have another block of bluestone. And so the tree roots are often have lifted up these bluestones, and then it creates a tripping hazard. And really that has to do with maintenance, not the stone itself. Some people don't like bluestone, but my argument is, and I've done a lot of inventories of sidewalks in all parts of Ulster County, and I've seen really bad concrete and really bad asphalt sidewalks as well. So it's really a maintenance issue. It's not necessarily an issue with the material. So, but that's something that I think really needs to be taken a look at in all of Ulster County, is how do we maintain these beautiful historic bluestone sidewalks and maintain safety and ease of travel for pedestrians. Yes, the Ulster County Transportation Council, which is under the Ulster County Planning Department, has a Safe Routes to School project that they've done in 3 towns of Ulster County, and they're now also doing in Saugerties. And they're working with a firm called Alta Planning and Design. It's a really great bicycling and pedestrian engineering firm, and they are essentially going to be looking at engineering solutions in Saugerties. One of the main things that everybody sort of notices about the walking and bicycling to Saugerties High School, there is no sidewalk that continues from the main streets of Saugerties to the school. So that's an obvious solution that there needs to be a new sidewalk there. But also Washington Avenue in Saugerties is quite wide and traffic is moving at a pretty quick pace, too fast for a neighborhood road. And so there are a number of solutions that Alta Planning might suggest to use traffic calming to basically slow down traffic on roads like that. And that's something that can be done around a lot of different schools. And then obviously crossings, drop-off zones, improving the crossings right near schools, and then improving the drop-off zones so that there aren't as many conflicts between people who are arriving to school by walking and people who are arriving by car or bus. What's really driving this initiative for us is obesity and chronic disease prevention. So for our point of view, yes, we certainly do not want to see any pedestrian or bicycle accidents on the road, but at least from my point of view, the real danger is the long-term effects of not walking and not bicycling and not being active on a regular basis, and it's sort of plaguing all of the United States, and the long-term effects of that and the sorts of diseases and complications that come along with obesity is really what's driving us to improve our communities and create better built environments so that we're able to be excited about going for a walk or going for a bicycle ride. I mean, I think a lot of people are not excited about walking or bicycling in their community because they don't feel safe or it feels dangerous. So that's really what's driving us. If there's a pedestrian accident, that's very unfortunate. But for us, it's about the long-term vision and the long-term, we have a long-term approach to it.
When we return, more from Kristen Wilson on the Complete Streets Initiative. We'll be right back.